Hi, Shannon here from houseimprovements.com, and today I just want to show you a little bit about some of the different valves you might use in a plumbing project around your house. I've got, I don't know, what do I got here, 6 or 7 different ones, some of the more common ones, some you may not have ever seen before, it's hard to say. So I just want to talk a little bit about each one. So we're going to start down at this end here, and what we've got, all of these come in different sizes depending on the type of pipe you're going to work with. This one here is a ball valve type fitting. So you can see it doesn't have a tap on the front. This is your tap or your valve. So what it's actually doing is it's actually turning a ball, which is inside the valve, and you can see there where the water can actually flow through in the on position. When you turn it across, it just rotates that valve, so then the water is not flowing. These are probably, I'm not talking about the brand, but the ball valve in general is probably the best type of valve you can use, as opposed to this type of valve. The problem with a gate valve, or this type that I'm holding here, is over time they get a bit corroded up, and they don't function the way they should when they're new. Unless it's something you're using all the time, they tend to kind of corrode up. These don't tend to do that as much. They're very, very positive as far as it's off or on. There's no questioning which way you've got it or anything. They don't tend to corrode up as bad. So I prefer a ball valve whenever I can put them in. They are more money, just depending on the valve, the manufacturer, that sort of thing. You might pay another 30–40% more for a ball valve, but in the long term it's a much better system. This particular one is basically got a compression fitting on the end. So this one's made for 1/2-inch pipe, for a 1/2-inch copper. So what you would do, you've got some 1/2-inch copper here, you'd slide this nut on. There's a little brass fitting inside there, kind of a compression fitting, and it just fits onto the copper tubing like so. Then you'd insert this fully into the valve. That slides up tight. This goes on and threads on, and then you'd put a wrench on the valve body and a wrench on the nut and tighten it up. And what it does is, as you tighten it, it squeezes this brass fitting, which basically plugs that gap there. They're very good. You put it on there, you're not going to have a leak. It's a very good system. It's great for doing a little renovation where maybe you had to cut out an old valve that was soldered in, and you need to add something in there. It can be used in new construction, renos, doesn't really matter. They work very well. A lot of them, I'm not seeing it on this one, some of them will have an arrow, an actual direction arrow for the flow of water. So just pay attention to that. This one just shows the size on the outside. It doesn't actually show direction of water. Sometimes, depending on the guts inside, the water flows better going one direction than the other, so just pay particular attention to that. Okay, so that's a ball valve with a compression fitting on the end. Here's another ball valve. This one is from a series of valves that is getting very popular, where it's just a push-in fitting. So there's no tightening that up with a nut, there's no soldering. These particular ones can be used in both copper and in PEX or Wurzbo type plumbing. So in the Wurzbo or the plastic piping in your house that you might have, what happens is, and we're going to do we will have a video just on compression type fittings as well, which is this type of fitting. But so what happens is, this needs to slide on a good just about a full inch. So you usually put a little mark there. You can see there's a little fitting inside of there. When you're using the plastic pipe, that fitting has to stay in. So you get that in there and seat that fully in there, and that's there. There's a O-ring in there, and then there's some stainless steel teeth that basically what happens once you slide that in there, you can't slide that back out. Not physically by pulling it by hand. You have to use these little keys to release that. And again, I'll talk more about that on the compression fitting video. So basically this little tool would just go against, there's a rib there, and that comes out. Now this works the same way with copper as well. With the copper, you just want to take some needle nose pliers and pull this insert out. You don't need it. and the copper would just slide in there exactly the same way and can be released exactly the same way from the slide-in fitting. Okay, so that's still a ball valve. This one doesn't actually show a direction either, so that's still another type of ball valve. Then we get into more of a gate valve type setup. So this is typically what you see. You got the old knob, you turn it tighter, closed, whatever. This particular one, this one here actually has a drain. So this could be put on for an outside tap on your house or something, where in the winter you want to drain the water back out of it. So this one here, you would drain it in the winter. This one does have a direction as well. There is a little arrow on there, and that's more so to do with the fact that it's got a drain on it for this one. But and this one is the compression style before, like I said, where you can slide it onto copper pipe. It's got the little brass fitting that goes on the pipe, and then you just tighten everything up, and it's all good. So that's a gate valve. Another type of gate valve, basically the only difference with this one is it's for soldering only. So you'd clean up your pipe, insert it however you wanted, heat the valve up, which when you do that, you would take a wrench and take this nut off, and then the guts come out, so that you don't, because there's a rubber bushing, or sometimes it might even be cork inside there, you don't want to get it too hot. So you usually take the guts out before you solder this all up, put the guts back in, turn your water on, you're good to go. Okay, so that's just another type of gate valve. The ball valves I showed you earlier, you can get them where you can solder them like that as well. So here's a type of valve that you probably see in your house. This one you might see under your sink for your water lines, or you might see it for your toilet water line. So it's another type of a gate valve. Simply turns, and it moves a little plunger inside of there that either lets water in or doesn't. And this particular one is a solder-on type fitting. So same idea. If you take this nut off, all the guts come out so you don't overheat the little rubber in there. Put it on your pipe, solder it up, and then put your guts back in once it's cooled down enough. Okay, so that's a gate valve as well. Basically same fitting here, except this one has the compression fitting like we've seen before. This one I've stolen the ring out of, I guess, but there'd be a copper ring in there. Again, just tighten it up. There's the same thing up on this end, going up to the toilet or your water or whatever. There's a little copper piece in there. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so now we're back to the press-in, push-in type fitting, which is this one. And again, this is, this could be on your water lines under your sink or whatever. It'd be the same idea. It works on copper or the plastic tubing. And it does have, I don't know if you can see it because this one's more clear, but it does have the insert inside there that you need for the plastic piping. Pull it out if you're using it in copper. So you'd simply push that on. The other end on this one is set up to thread on either a braided line going up to your water hose or a water faucet, or you can use it with the plastic water lines that you sometimes see, the more inexpensive ones. This one here is called a quarter turn ball valve. So it just takes basically a quarter of a turn to turn it off or on. So it's really quick. There's not, with these other ones you're twisting, right? So those are the basic types of valves that you're going to find in your house, for at least for water. Just thought it'd be worth going through them and just showing you what the options are. Like I said, the ball valves I prefer. These ones also I see all the time. They're under your sink. They never get turned off and on until you need them for an emergency, and they're so corroded up that they either won't turn, or you break them, or you turn them and they leak anyways. So go to the ball valves. If you're changing your sink or whatever, switch it over to the ball valve and just save yourself some headache down the road. If you're going to use these, one thing that I always tell customers, if this is the type that they want, because they are a little bit less expensive, but it isn't a big amount, but just turn them off and on whenever you think of it, just once in a while. Just keeps them moving, keeps them kind of lubricated up, and chances are they won't be as seized up when you do need them for an emergency. Okay, so there's your water valves, a few different types: solder on, compression, push in, and those are the main ones you're going to see in your home. Okay, so another video wrapped up. I guess, like I always say, you can go to our website. We've got a bunch of articles on there. We've got videos, blah, blah, blah. We've got the forum. Go check it out and see what you think of the rest of our stuff.